Hello, this is Alexandra, and in this video we are talking about your big why and your what. Determining your big why and what is important because when you go from one destination to another, so from your now self to your future self, you need your big why and your what to pull you back on the path, because there's going to be lots of distractions on the way and lots of things that are going to call your attention. So your big why and what is going to pull you back to your path. So as you can see, the path is never straight from your now to your future self, but there's always going to be detours. And when you veer off the path, your why and what will pull you back to action. So please be aware that this video is a stop and go video. So you may want to be in a place where you can sit down. I personally like to sit on the floor for stuff like that because it gives me more grounding, but any table will do as well. As you will determine your big why and what. And there's a sheet somewhere around this video that's called your big why and what sheet, which looks something like this. Pull it out or print it so that you have it ready. And let's dig into your big why. So the big why gives you the overall view of why you're engaging in a journey. And it could be so manifold. Your big why is it's a little bit airy. It's a little bit like a cloud. You see yourself from up high and you're like, oh, I'm wondering, why am I doing this certain thing? And it's sort of like you need to brainstorm what it is that you want to accomplish by being here with me and with us. So the following two slides here have some examples of other women, what they have come up with. And one of them said, I want to live big. I want to teach my kids to live big as well. I want to have an impact and share what I've learned. Another woman wants more energy and invest in long-term wellness so she can serve the world. There's another one who wants better relationships on how to use her energy and find more balance between intensity and rest. You can also, there's more examples here, and it's not really, I didn't put them here to read them to you all, but just to give you some inspiration. So what I would like you to do now is pause your video for a moment, pull out this big why and what worksheet, and set yourself a timer for 3 or 4 minutes and journal your big why. Just let it sort of flow out of you. Don't censor yourself. Let it come from your intuition. Why are you here with me and us? So hit the pause button now. Pause. Are you pausing? It's time to formulate your what. And by the way, if you have taken other courses with me, you may have done this before. So actually down here I see Rejuve Camp. You may have done this in Rejuve Camp already. And your big why and what may be pretty similar, but it may be different. So if you have done this before, you can also pull out your big why and what sheet from Rejuve Camp or from a previous Body Joy class and just update it. But now it's time to formulate your what. And your what is more specific than your why. It wants to be measurable. So if we have something that's measurable, we can go afterwards, we can say, hey, I was loving at a 2 before and I wanted to get to a loving at 4. Actually, what I've achieved is being loving at 6. Or I want to lose 5 pounds in 10 weeks and I've actually lost 10 pounds in 10 weeks. Cool, I've succeeded. So the way to do your what is to come up with 1, 2, or 3 specific things that you want to accomplish. That could be weight loss, that could be becoming more patient and loving, that could be increasing your level of self-love. It could be so many things. But the point is that you make it smart. You make it specific, you make it measurable, you make it attainable, you make it relevant, and you make it time-bound. So that means if we go with the example of weight loss, for example, I will lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks. Is that specific? Absolutely, it's pretty specific. Is it measurable? Yeah, 10 pounds in 10 weeks, that's measurable with a scale. 10 weeks is measurable on a calendar. Is it attainable? Well, 10 pounds in 10 weeks, that should be attainable for most people. Is it relevant? Well, is it relevant for you? I mean, if you're already underweight, it's not relevant for you. If you're way overweight, yeah, that's definitely relevant for you. If you want to live in a cleaner body and have more energy, then it's absolutely relevant for you. Is it time bound? Yeah, 10 weeks. So you want to make your what's really measurable. Now let's go with a different example that's less easy to measure. Weight is pretty easy to measure, but say self-love, your level of self-love. You can't just say, I will love myself more. Well, how are you going to measure that? So you could intuitively say, well, you know what? Right now, I love myself at a 2. It's not very good, but I really want to get up to a 4 in 10 weeks or 5 in 10 weeks. That seems pretty attainable. So you could say, I will increase my level of self-love from 2 to 4 in 10 weeks. So that is specific, it is measurable because it's in 10 weeks and it's a scale. Is it attainable? Very likely so. Is it relevant? Yeah, if you want to love yourself more, if you want to show up in yourself more fully and completely and really arrive in yourself, yeah, that's relevant. That could be relevant for you. Is it time bound? Yeah, in 10 weeks, you're going to achieve that. So please hit the pause button again now. I told you it's a run and pause, or how do you call that? Pull out your why and what worksheet again and fill out the section, determine your what. Hit the pause button now. Pause. Are you pausing? Now it's time to move on to your anchor statement and formulate an anchor statement. Anchor statement is a short phrase that reminds you of your why and your what very easily. The anchor statement doesn't need to cover the entire story of what you want, but it just needs to be short and precise so it recalls in your mind what it is that you do want to accomplish. It's best to write this in the present tense. So for example, I love myself completely and fully. So that if you write it in the present tense, you pretend it is already there, and all you need to do now is live into that. I am lean in my body and I have tons of energy. And you're already pretending you are that. In that way, it is much easier to be your future self today. Here are some examples of what other women have come up with for their anchor statement. I feel light in my body and clear in my mind. Or simply, I thrive could be an anchor statement. I particularly like I uncover gems. Or I feel sexy and confident in my body. It could be a myriad of things, and it could be so many things. So hit the pause button yet again and set your timer for 2 minutes and write down your anchor statement. If you don't know what it is, brainstorm. Let's write down a few and then cross out the ones that don't seem right. Sometimes we need to just brainstorm different words and brainstorm different ways of expressing it. And then you can always go eradicate what isn't right. And then read it again to yourself and say, hey, is this easy to remember? Is this in the present tense? Does this speak to me? Does this make me feel alive and bright? Does it excite me? The anchor statement should excite you for the upcoming journey. So hit pause now and write your anchor statement. The last thing I would like you to do is to reread out loud what you wrote, your big why, your what's, and your anchor statement, and read it with feeling and intention so that there's some juice behind it, some unctuousness behind it. If you'd like, also you could write your anchor statement or any of your whys and whats on little note cards and put it around your house, put it on your altar, put it in your bathroom mirror, whatever works to remind you that that is the journey you're on for the next little while. Honestly, my big whys and whats and anchor statements, they sometimes change very frequently. Like I had a period of time where they changed like 3 times in like 2 months. And then I had another time where I had an anchor statement for an entire year. And that sounded really true for me. And then at some point that was over and I exchanged it. So, but you check in with your anchor statement and your big why and your what, in intervals, like you could do this every day, you could do it every week, you could do it every month, however that works for you, just so that you stay on course and you get to the destination you set yourself out to go. That's all I have for right now. Thanks for being here. This is Alexandra signing off.